You're listening to the Cleveland Browniacs, a show where two moderately intelligent guys attempt to make sense of the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browniacs podcast is a part of the Fanatical Elves podcast network, a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Here are your hosts, Elliot Kennel and Joel Cade.
Take it, Joel.
Take it. Where am I taking it to?
Wherever you want, man. I'm ready.
I'm taking it to the end zone. Let's go to the end zone.
What's an end zone? I forgot. I'm a Browns fan, and we have not experienced the end zone for so long. I forgot what it is.
It's that stuff that the opponents go into to beat us.
Oh, that. Yes. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, that's the end zone. Get in the zone, the end zone.
Okay.
So, Elliot, there's a lot been going on this last week. The Browns had a game in Seattle, but I think we're going to bypass that one this week.
I don't want to think about it. That was so bad.
We can bypass all the Twitter morons and controversy we had to deal with that. But let's talk about something more interesting. Let's talk about the trade deadline. What do you think of the Browns' moves? The Browns traded Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Okay, and we got a quarterback and a future Hall of Fame running back, right?
Because that's what you get at the trade deadline in the NFL.
Yeah.
No, Elliot, we didn't. No, Elliot. No.
Oh, no.
Traded Donovan Peoples-Jones, who was moderately used by the Browns to start with, for a 6th round pick, and people are angry as crap about this. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's actually a 6th round pick. It's not even in 2024. I didn't catch that at first. It's in 2025.
Wow.
Ooh.
And, so that's the equivalent of a 5th round pick, by the way.
Say what?
There's this chart where like future years picks are actually worth more than present year picks.
No, it's the other way around.
Is it the other way around?
Yeah, it would be
future
a 7th round pick this year.
So it'd be worth the 7th round.
Okay. Yeah, so it's
all right.
It's even worse. But yeah, Donovan was not having a good year with the Browns, and we really don't know why. I've speculated that maybe he had an injury, something on the order of a broken hand or something like that, broken finger. I don't know. They were not throwing the ball to him. The other possibility is that maybe he was having trouble separating. Some people have said that, and that maybe a precision passer could hit him, but our current passer, P.J. Walker, maybe wasn't precise enough that he was not able to hit Donovan Peoples-Jones accurately enough to make good use of him. I don't know if that's true, but for whatever reason, he was not being targeted. It wasn't that he wasn't making catches. He wasn't being targeted. He was out there a lot. The snaps that he was taking were there. He was on the field a lot, but he was not being targeted. I can't make sense of that.
I'll say this for Donovan Peoples-Jones. He is a great value for the 6th round. Okay.
Sure.
His struggles have been separation. He's been okay when he can get separation, usually against zone, not much against man. And you guys see, when the fans see the pictures of him catching the ball and running, that's usually against a zone coverage. Okay. And he's out there by himself in the gap of a zone coverage. He's a smart player. He knows how to find open zones, open gaps in zones. He knows how to get open against zone. He struggles with the physical aspects of getting open against man, particularly man press coverage. So he's limited in what he can do. He's not this superstar that everybody thinks he is. There's a reason why he got drafted in the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
So if your game is I get open against zone and the Browns are trying to force teams to play man with the run game, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay. I don't think Donovan Peoples-Jones fits what the Browns ultimately want to do with Deshaun Watson. So trading him, moving Cedric Tillman along, who you do have for the next 3 years, makes a lot more sense.
Yes, and Cedric Tillman has not played because he hasn't been right physically. It's not like, he's a draft bust. No, he's not been right physically, and I think that the plan is the second half of the season that we will see a lot more of Cedric Tillman. So that part of the equation needs to still be worked out. Let's withhold judgment on that rather than get upset about the lack of production from Cedric because he hasn't been right physically. But he has looked very good in the preseason play. And I know, preseason is preseason, but it looks like He can run a pattern, and he's got very good hands. And I think that he has a chance to be a good receiver too.
I do want to jump back on Donovan Peoples-Jones for a second. I mean, I just want to talk about roster churning for a second. I spoke about this on What the Elf Was That, but I also want to say this. You got a 6th round pick. You got excellent production out of DPJ as a 6th round pick. He's going to be a free agent. He even got a pay bump because his performance reflected not that of a 6th round pick, but of a higher pay grade, and that the NFL basically bumped his pay up. So to churn him over for another 6th round pick, even if it's in 2025, that is just excellent roster management, right? You got a 6th round pick, you got 4 years of production, then you traded him for a 6th round pick. What more can you want? What more can you ask Andrew Berry to do? If you let him leave free agent,
we wanted a quarterback and we wanted the Hall of Fame running back. That's what.
Well, that's because I'm not irrational. I'm trying to come to a different approach with this.
Okay.
So you're churning your roster, right? You've just broke even with that pick. You've got a pick. You had 4 years out of the pick. You got another 6th round pick in return. That's how you professionally manage a roster.
No, you're right. You're right. I wanted to talk about the new quarterback and the Hall of Fame running back for just a minute. Why didn't we get what we wanted? A new quarterback like Jacoby Brissett or Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz or somebody like that. And why didn't we make the trade for Derrick Henry? Because we were told that the Tennessee Titans were just dying to trade him to the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you the reason. The way that you make a trade like that, deadline or no, is you have to give up something good that the other team wants, namely either draft picks, other players, or you also need to have financial resources in order to pay these guys. And the Browns don't have draft picks because we traded a number 1 and a number 4 for next season for Deshaun Watson. There are no excess draft picks, excess draft capital, if you will, in order to trade for players in 2023. We don't have extra picks in 2024. That's fictitious. That's ridiculous. How could you possibly think that we had extra draft picks in 2024 that we're going to throw around this year to bring players on board? We also do not have excess money, excess salary cap room. I know that we have some $30+ million of apparent cap space in 2023, but don't forget that in 2024, we are overspent. And the reason is that the quarterback, Deshaun Watson, has a $64 million guaranteed salary that requires the Browns to save up some excess in 2023 that they can apply to the 2024 budget. So there is no excess salary cap that they can use to go spend on expensive free agents. They did not really have that option to spend a lot of money at the trade deadline and take on big salaries. That ship has sailed. There is no way that they could do stuff like that. And these quarterbacks that can actually play are not just given away. Right. You have to give up something good in order to get something good, and that was not really possible for the Browns to do. So that's why they wound up doing the best thing that they thought that they could do, is increase their draft capital for 2025 by trading Donovan Peoples-Jones, who they really weren't going to use that much in the second half of the season. That's why that deal made a little bit of sense. It was a small deal, and that's kind of what we coached up our fan base. But Joel and I were telling you that it was probably going to be a small deal. Now, what I fault the Browns for is what they should be doing. They should be observing that their first string quarterback might just have an arm issue. There is a suspicion that he may not be completely healthy this season, and therefore we should have somebody on the practice squad that is being coached up to become the third string quarterback in case he goes down. If he is not able to play, and then we have an injury to PJ Walker, let's say, okay, great. We promote, in that case, Dorian Thompson-Robinson to become the number 1 quarterback. Now, who's the backup quarterback in that case, Joel?
I don't know.
There is no backup quarterback. There is none. There is no backup quarterback. Why? Because the Browns have chosen to ignore that possibility entirely. And there should be somebody that they should be training on the practice squad just in case. It does not have to be a superstar, does not have to be a $10 million quarterback. It could be somebody that's like a second-year player that's at the minimum NFL salary, or especially practice squad salary. But there should be somebody that knows like 20 plays out of the playbook, that becomes familiar with the Stefanski system, that they will be able to use in an emergency situation, come in and win a key game for the Browns if they needed somebody. Let's remember back when the Steelers had this situation. They used to have Charlie Batch, and they could call him up on the phone. Batch was like a vampire. He'd lay there in his coffin, and they would call him up, and he would wake up and come back to life and go out there, and he would still win games. Even when he was 200 years old, he could still come out, remember the playbook, and win games just like that. And the Browns need to have somebody like that available to come in and win a
Elliot,
game.
I want to jump in on this, man. To have a guy like that means you'd have to have a consistent system for a guy like that to know over a multiple year period. And if we listen to Browns fans and we fire Kevin Stefanski after every game they lose, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Well, okay, I have a guy like that in mind. You know who my guy is? Can you guess?
Hold on. Josh Dobbs.
No, Josh Dobbs is not available to us because he was traded to the Minnesota Vikings, where he will start since Kirk Cousins was injured and is out for the year. So that's not available. So
I don't know. Are there any more rocket scientists out there that play football?
Yeah, well, no, he's not a rocket scientist, but I was thinking about Garrett Gilbert. He's available. He would not cost any money, and he played.
So let me jump in on this as
well. For the Browns for 2 years. He's available. Let's hire him. He wouldn't cost any money. Hide him on the practice squad. He'd be just fine for that role.
Well, yeah, if it's the role of you're teaching him how to play in the offense, then that's what you're going to be doing. Garrett Gilbert came out of that air raid offense down there. I think it was at SMU where he was at under June Jones.
Yeah, okay, but that was 10 years ago.
Hold on. The outside zone offense has as its passing base the West Coast offense, which is notorious for being difficult to learn, and it takes a good year and a half to learn. That's what that offense is. Okay. If you're going to bring in somebody to the practice squad for this season, they need to be able to run the offense this season. So you need somebody who has experience in that outside zone offense. So that's going to limit you to the people who've played like Minnesota, Green Bay, Los Angeles for the Rams.
What about the Cleveland Browns? He played for the Cleveland Browns for a year.
Not when they ran the air raid, not when they ran the outside zone. That was one of the first people they got rid of when Stefanski came around.
No, that's not true. He was one of the first people they hired when Stefanski came in.
Let's look it up.
He played for Stefanski for a year plus.
If he understands the offense, then I can see bringing him in.
He played in 2019 as well. And plus he played everywhere else.
Stefanski didn't come around till 2020 though.
Let's see. Is that right?
That is right.
Okay. No, I think you're right. Let's see. Let me check. Garrett Gilbert. When did you play?
Garrett Gilbert, 2019, 2020, played for the Dallas Cowboys.
2020. Yeah, okay.
Played for the Cowboys in 2020.
Yeah,
he was gone mid that year.
Okay, so he had only a limited exposure to Kevin Stefanski in 2020.
You would need somebody to come in who's played that offense. Somebody suggested Case Keenum at one point.
Oh, he's not available. He's not available. He's not a free agent. Forget it. But Case Keenum is sitting.
Who's he playing for? Besides writing for Dog Pound Daily, what's he doing?
Case Keenum. We traded him to who did we trade him to?
He's with the Houston Texans right now.
Yeah, okay, that's right. He's the backup. But Garrett Gilbert played for a lot of teams, and he almost beat the Pittsburgh Steelers while playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And we just want him to learn 20 plays out of the Browns playbook. He could do that.
Look, I'm all for Garrett Goatbert, man. That was my
But
nickname
get
for him.
somebody. I don't care who it is. I really don't care who it
The
is.
GOAT from the Orlando Apollos.
Yeah, have somebody. I don't care who it is, really. Get somebody on the practice squad who is ready in case there becomes a problem with Deshaun Watson, God
So I want
forbid.
to
There needs to be
offer
somebody on the
counterpoint.
practice squad.
I want to offer counterpoint. Okay. Deshaun Watson is beginning to practice. And I know that comes with snickers because, like jokes, people laughing. He's practicing again to get ready for this Arizona Cardinals game. Doesn't mean he's going to play, but at least he's practicing. At some point,
We're talking practice.
he's got to start somewhere.
Not a game. We're talking practice.
I think if he was seriously long-term injured, the front office would do something long-term to address it. The fact that they haven't makes me think they think he's coming back sooner than later.
They think so, but do they know so? There's a risk, I think.
Do you make plans only on what you know? No, we project into the future.
No, you are prepared for every eventuality. And the practice squad, you've got 16 spots. Why not use one of them for a quarterback? It's a no-brainer.
Oh, I'm not contesting that. I'm talking about the quarterback trade market and why they didn't trade for some overpay for some quarterback.
Oh, no. I'm totally with you there.
Like,
that was ridiculous to think that they would trade for a huge salary quarterback. That was not going to happen. I'm talking about getting somebody that doesn't cost any money.
Yeah, well, you're also going to get somebody that doesn't cost any money when they play on the field.
Well, that's right, but that's an emergency situation. Right now, there is nobody. If
right now that's PJ Walker. Let's talk about that for a second. I know we're going way over our time in terms of what we dedicated to this segment, but let's talk about it for a second. What do you expect from your backup quarterback? What's your hope? What's your expectations for what that backup quarterback's going to do?
Run the offense and keep the team in the game.
Okay, has not PJ Walker done that?
He has. He's been able to keep the team in the game, but he's also not performed as well as we'd like. He's not completed 50% of his passes, and his touchdown to interception ratio is 1-5. So
and that's why he's like a free agent on the practice squad.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, but on the other side of this, right? What's the Browns' record with Deshaun Watson sideline? Isn't it 2-2 at this point?
Yeah.
So they're trading 500. That's what you want out of your backup quarterbacks. I mean, PJ Walker is 2-1. So
I think they've been lucky. I don't think that they've. I don't expect this trend to continue. I
don't either. That's why I was willing to say this was going to be a rough game in Seattle. I don't expect the trend to continue, but he's kept the team there. Is he an answer? Absolutely not. Okay, he's not. And I think he's struggling with the offense right now. Your backup is Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who's struggling with the offense right now. Anybody you bring up off the free agency marker is going to be struggling with the offense. I mean, that's really just where you're going to be at.
We're not bringing any free agent in. That's not a realistic
Joe Flacco's available.
That's realistic in fantasy football, where you don't have to practice for 2 months in order to become familiar with the team.
Right. So at this point, you've got PJ Walker, who's played with the team for 3 games. If you think Watson is coming back sooner than later, your best bet is to roll him out there against another NFC opponent and have Watson available for the Ravens and the Steelers, who are coming up after the Cardinals. That's where you want Watson. Those 2 games.
I'd play Watson when I was sure that his arm was sound and that the additional injury risk was minimal.
I've been saying that.
I don't care what the schedule is.
I've been saying that since week 3. Just heal him up and let's move on. All right, Ellie, we got to go to break. So after the break, we will chat about some Arizona Cardinals. All right, hang on, guys. All right, and we're back. Next week, the Browns will be playing the Arizona Cardinals. And Ellie, you got any initial thoughts on this game before I throw our thing up on the screen?
Yeah, I think that the spread was totally out of whack. It was like 8.5 points at one point this week. I think that was crazy. I think that it's come down a little bit now. It's I think around 7, and I think that's more realistic. But I think Arizona is actually a pretty good team, and they're planning on starting Kyler Murray. And if they don't have Kyler, it won't be the Rocket Man. He's been traded
They
to
benched him before they
Minnesota.
traded him.
Yeah, they traded him to Minnesota.
Well, they actually benched him before they traded him.
Yeah, well, no, they made it clear that he was available. That's what the point of making that announcement was, that they were going to trade him, and they got a number 6 draft pick for him, which, by the way, I predicted in our website that he would be available for a number 6 draft pick, and that's what he went for. And it was a good move for Minnesota because they lost Kirk Cousins due to injury. But anyway, yeah,
and
it looked pretty good.
He's familiar with their offense, to underscore the previous point from the last segment. Josh Dobbs is familiar with the outside zone offense that Minnesota runs. So he's going to fit right in and be able to take up the situation where they have it. Might take him a little bit, but they'll have to get. I mean, the Browns should have called Tennessee and said, "Hey, is Ryan Tannehill available? Or maybe we'll take Will Levis, or maybe we'll take
no.
whatever this other guy is."
They can't afford those guys. That's absolutely out of the question.
Take some other guy. But at any rate, my thoughts on this game coming up is you're talking about another NFC West opponent. Okay, again, low on the importance scale in terms of tiebreakers for the division. You want to win it because you need the win in the W column, okay, to keep up with the rest of the division. But when it comes to tiebreakers in the division, this game is going to mean very little. So if you can get Deshaun Watson in there to kind of knock some rust off after 5 weeks, that's great. If you can't, that's not the end of the world. I think this team is beatable with PJ Walker. It just becomes a matter of what can the Browns execute and what can they not execute on offense. So with that, I'm going to throw our little PowerPoint up here.
Oh, I've got it up. Does you not see it?
I put it up.
Okay, whatever.
Either way, it's up. So we've
got
the Cardinals offense up here against the Browns defense. That offensive line is like yellow, orange, green, red. Looks like the defensive line should have a field day this week. What do you think?
Yeah, no, actually, we've played a lot of similar teams in the past, like 3 weeks in a row, where they have skill position players. There's a big difference between Kyler Murray and Joshua Dobbs. So if Murray does indeed start, they're going to have really a pretty high-powered offense. Now, their defense has given up a lot of points. They have gone 1-7. I think they're 1-7, and so they have not played well as a team. But they could really put something together, I think, and that they don't really deserve to be 7 or 8 point underdogs. That's a lot of points in the NFL.
That is a lot of points in the NFL, given that half the games are decided by 6 or less.
Yeah,
and a quarter of games are 3 or less.
I'm kind of suspicious of that spread. I think the Browns deserve to be favorites, but I really am kind of suspicious about the size of that spread. Although, they have, in fact, given up a lot of points. Can the Browns score that many with PJ Walker as the quarterback? I don't know. But, yeah, they have a not so super fantastic offensive line. By the way, that rookie sticker under our friend Hjalte Froholt is wrong. That's supposed to go somewhere else. I think I forget who it is that's actually a rookie on that line. But anyway, we know Hjalte was center for the Browns last season.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will Hernandez is a veteran who's pretty good. But yeah, there's some weak spots on the offensive line, and the Browns should probably
see the Cardinals lined up their roster to be an air raid offense, right? So they didn't care what their offensive line looked like because air raid offenses don't care what your offensive line looks like. They just care about your skill players. And then they make the gamble that your skill players can beat their skill players. And thus why we have the air raid never works in the NFL on a regular basis, because pretty much talent is talent around the NFL unless you're Myles Garrett.
There you
So,
go.
Myles Garrett is a whole different animal, but beyond that, everyone's pretty much got the same talent level. What separates players in the NFL are hard work, film study, things like this you do on a daily basis, which makes it interesting that Kyler Murray might be back there because, you don't write a clause into someone's contract to study film if they actually were doing it. So it should be interesting to see how this goes. But yeah, the Cardinals got Marquise Brown, Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Rondale Moore. Most of those are in the green. So good skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
Not much in terms of the offensive line. So it'll be interesting to see how this matches up. I like the Browns defense in this matchup, even if it is Kyler Murray. The only thing you have to worry about with Kyler Murray is him escaping the pocket and running.
There you go. Yeah, I think, he can outrun Myles Garrett, but he will be chased for sure.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be outrunning JOK. JOK can haul. He'll outrun Anthony Walker. He'll outrun Anthony Walker, though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we can move on.
The average human being outruns Anthony Walker. All right. Well, so here comes the Browns. I think that red on Jedrick Wills is kind of unfair. I think he's at least moved to a yellow, maybe even a light green. He's played some pretty good games last few weeks. That red on PJ Walker, much deserved. That red on Marquise Goodwin, I don't know.
Wait a minute. Are you looking at the right slide? I've got DeJuan Jones as a yellow.
I got DeJuan Jones as a yellow.
Oh, okay. What did you say was unfair?
Jed Wills.
Oh, no. Jed Wills is really at the bottom of the
Jed Wills has had a good couple games. And in the
he
NFL,
did have a good couple games. But
in the NFL, it's all about
season,
what you're doing recently. People, it doesn't matter what you're doing over the season at this point. If you're the Cardinals and you're scouting the Browns, you're only looking at 2 or 3 games. You're not looking at the whole season. You're only looking at the last 2, maybe 3 if you have time games, because that's the best indicator of how somebody's playing.
Well, we hope that Jed Wills is trending upward. Yeah. Okay.
Well, for right now, he is. Whether he stays and continues trending upward, I don't know. But right now, he is. So, Elijah Moore, I swear to God, I see another jet sweep with Elijah Moore. I'm just going to go down and throat punch somebody. But I didn't see that last week, so that was good.
Yeah, he's been getting open. He's been doing much better at getting open than I thought he would. So I'm really pleased with the progress that I've seen from Elijah Moore. But, there's a lot of good receivers in the NFL. Marquise Goodwin hasn't put up numbers, but he has a history of being able to haul in the long passes. We might see that. I don't know if PJ is the right quarterback to get him.
PJ's not throwing that ball. PJ's not throwing that ball.
If it's Deshaun might get him that ball.
Yeah. A healthy Deshaun Watson would get him a long ball. And Goodwin would be the guy that could outrun a secondary, particularly if they hesitate when he runs past them, given they're unsure given the schematic issues. So I think the Browns are set on this defense. The offensive line is mostly in green. The defensive line for the Cardinals are mostly in orange and yellow and red, and so
they have really struggled on defense. That's for sure.
So I think this is a game where the Browns could lean on the offensive line and run the football, given that Jerome Ford can actually run through a hole. So let's hold our breath on that one. Kareem Hunt should still be the lead back. I think you can supplement him with Pierre Strong, who seems to be coming on strong. Yeah, get it.
Yeah,
coming on strong. So I like that combo, that Ford combo in there. I don't know. They should relegate Ford to a third down back and let him catch passes.
Yeah, it's a question about who's healthy at running back. I guess that Kareem Hunt, he has not been practicing the past few weeks, but he gets better at the end of the week. And by game day, he's good to go. So I'm not really that worried about Kareem, but
that's called being old.
I know something about that actually, but okay.
It's called being old. Yeah. Being old in NFL terms is like 32 or something, but that's how older players operate. They don't practice during the week. They get better and they're ready to go by the end of the week.
Yeah, there you go. All
That's
right.
how that operates. All right, I'm going to take this off here. So, the Cardinals game, I think it's going to be another one of those close nail biters. It's going to be a question of whether or not the Browns can really, if they can they score enough points, and can the defense hold it together? When the defense was super awesome, what we never talked about was the fact that the offense was on the field a lot. When Watson was there, they were driving the ball using a lot of time. So when the defense came on, they were fresh. They play all out for 3 or 4 plays. They get a punt. Offense comes back on the field and holds the ball for 10 minutes, holds the ball for 5 minutes, holds the ball for 6 minutes. So that aspect of complementary football has disappeared
Yes.
for the defense. And now the defense is struggling to do more than what it should be tasked to do. Therefore, I think the defense is slipping some because they feel more pressure to like really affect the game because the offense really isn't affecting the game.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. The defense had fewer plays than any other defense in the NFL, fewer snaps. And the reason was number one, they were getting more 3 and outs than anybody else. They were playing really well. And then also the Browns were able to hold on to the ball on offense, even if they didn't do much. I'm perfectly happy to hang on to the ball for a while and kick a field goal.
Yep.
I think that's just absolutely fine. Don't need to score lots of long ball touchdowns. I don't think that's the way that the Browns are going to win this game. I do think it'll be a lot of field goals, and we've got a really brilliant field goal kicker this season with Dustin Hopkins really having, superior performance from that position. Nobody really thought that he was going to be as good as he is. But he's been remarkable. In fact, did you know that he had his jersey went into the Hall of Fame? Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he set a record for having a consecutive game streak for kicking 50-yard field goals plus. It was like 5 or 6 in a row where he had at least one 50-yard field goal, and nobody else had ever done that before in NFL history. And so it's really pretty remarkable.
Makes you really
don't want to jinx him by.
Well, I was going to say it makes you really wonder how bad Cade York really was. If this coaching staff can get Hopkins, who was going to be released in favor of another kicker out in Los Angeles, pull this guy in and then him have tremendous performances, NFL Special Teams Player of the Week performances. How bad was Cade York?
Well, yeah, everybody was blaming Stefanski for going for it on 4th down. Oh, no, coach, don't go for it on 4th down. We've got the next Justin Tucker who will kick the field goal for sure if only you will let him kick on 4th down. That was really one of the dumbest episodes in Browns fandom history. We could not depend upon Cade York to kick the ball through the uprights. He had the distance, understand. He could kick the ball a long way, but it didn't always go through the uprights. That was the problem with Cade York. It's not about distance. It's about how well can you kick it.
Elliot, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a little secret. All these kickers with big legs, they can do a whole bunch of crap in practice, including running their mouth.
Oh, well, yeah, they can.
In practice. Then you go out in the game and you can't do crap, but you want to run your mouth in practice. Anyway, I have a long history of negativity with kickers, but I'm just saying, let's just move on to something better. Speaking of something better, we will chat with you next week after the Browns hopefully defeat the Arizona Cardinals. Any last words, Elliot?
Yeah, I'm looking for a close game. I think the Browns are going to kick a lot of field goals. I don't like the idea that the Browns are big favorites after the way that they've played the past couple of weeks. I'm thinking it'll be a close game.
I think it'll be a close game. I think the Browns will continue to play trestle ball, which is run the football, and kick some field goals and let your defense do what they need to do. But eventually this ship has got to turn because you can't play a season like this in the NFL. You can do it in college, but you can't do it in the NFL. All right. See you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browniacs. Please like and follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Go Browns!